Years passed, and the boy continued to grow, not just in age, but in discipline, resilience, and vision. Life had never been gentle to him, yet he had learned to stand firm, like a tree rooted deep in the earth, weathering the strongest storms. Every single morning, before the sun even thought about rising, he would wake up. He'd help his mother prepare the small, humble stall they had by the roadside, a stall that was their lifeline. After that, he'd walk to school, his feet clad in the same dusty shoes he had worn for years, the soles thin, the leather cracked, but still carrying him forward. He was tired. The kind of tired that seeps into your bones. A constant companion from dawn till dusk. He was exhausted, but he never, ever complained. Not a single word of protest passed his lips, because somewhere deep inside him, in the quietest part of his soul, a voice always whispered, "Keep going. Just keep going. Your time will come," and he believed it. He clung to that belief like a lifeline, the one thing that was truly his. Then, one seemingly ordinary day at school, everything began to shift. A teacher stood before the class and announced a regional academic competition. It was a chance for glory, a chance for recognition. As the teacher explained the details, a ripple of laughter spread through the classroom. Many students glanced over at the boy, their eyes filled with ridicule. They laughed at the very idea of him joining. In their eyes, he was too ordinary, too unimportant, too poor. He was simply invisible to them, a background character in their own stories. But then, a hand went up. It was his. The boy raised his hand. He didn't raise it because he thought he was the smartest person in the room. He knew he wasn't. He raised it for a different reason entirely. He raised it because he had courage. He had the courage to try, the courage to face their laughter, the courage to bet on himself when no one else would. For the next several weeks, his life found a new, relentless rhythm. He stayed late after school every single day, while others went home to warm meals and bright lights. He found a solitary spot under a flickering lamp that became his study hall. His home, a small, dark shack, had no electricity at night, so the pale yellow glow of the public light was his only guide. His books were worn, their pages soft and frayed from use. His eyes were constantly tired, strained from deciphering words in the dim light. His hands grew cold as the nights wore on, but his determination, that inner fire, burned warmer and brighter than any flame. It was a fire fueled by hope, by a desperate need to prove not them, but himself, right? And then, the day of the competition arrived. He stood on the stage, his heart pounding a frantic rhythm against his ribs. He felt small, nervous, completely out of place. He was surrounded by other students, with better clothes, crisp and new. Students with better resources, with shiny new books and expensive pens. Students who just seemed to have better everything. They exuded a confidence that came from a life of privilege he could only imagine. The competition was fierce, a whirlwind of questions and answers. It all came down to the final, deciding question. As he stood there, the spotlight feeling like a heavy weight, his mind went blank for a second. The faces in the crowd blurred. But then, a memory surfaced, clear and comforting. He heard his mother's voice, as gentle and steady as a lullaby, telling him something she had said many times before. "You Dante have to be better than them, my son. Just be better than the boy you were yesterday." That was it. The fear dissolved, replaced by a surge of pure, quiet courage. He took a deep breath, looked at the judge, and answered. The room, which had been buzzing with anticipation, fell completely silent. You could have heard a pin drop. Then, a single person started clapping. Another joined in, and another, until the entire hall erupted in a thunderous wave of applause. He had done it. He had won. But he had won more than just a trophy. He had won respect. He had won recognition. He had opened a door to a new future, a future he had dared to dream of under that lonely street lamp. That victory was the key. It earned him a full scholarship to a prestigious university, a place that had previously existed only in his wildest dreams. For the very first time in his life, he walked into a world far beyond the dusty streets and familiar struggles of his small town. The city was a sprawling, glittering giant, and the university was a world within that world. But old habits died hard, and the need to survive was ingrained in him. While other students went to parties or relaxed in their dorms, he took on any part-time job he could find, sweeping floors in the campus buildings, delivering packages across the bustling city, washing mountains of dishes in the back of a steamy restaurant kitchen. Whatever he could do to earn a little money, he did it without a second thought. Other students had families sending them money for books and expenses. He had his own effort. He had his sweat. He had his unwavering will. There were nights, of course, when the weight of it all felt crushing. Late at night, when the city was quieter and the loneliness was louder, he would stand alone under the bright city lights and look up at the towering buildings. He'd feel the exhaustion, the ache in his muscles, the longing for a simpler time. And in those moments of doubt, he would whisper to himself, a promise and a command. I didn't come this far just to stop now. Even when he struggled with his classes, even when he failed an exam, even when the profound loneliness of being an outsider tried to break his spirit, he continued. He pushed forward, because he remembered where he came from. He remembered the image of his mother's tired, calloused hands, working day in and day out. He remembered the sting of being looked down on, of being treated as if he were nothing. And most importantly, he remembered the promise he had made to himself all those years ago. I will rise. No matter how long it takes. After years of relentless studying and backbreaking work, the day finally came. He graduated, not just with a degree, but with honors. His hard work had paid off in a way he had barely allowed himself to hope for. Soon after, he was offered a job at a major company, a good job, a respectable job. A job that paid more in a single month than his family had ever managed to earn in an entire year. He returned home. The journey back was different this time. He wasn't the boy who once struggled, hiding his tears in the shadows. He wasn't the child who felt the pang of hunger and the sting of humiliation. He returned as a man who had faced the impossible and had risen above it. His mother welcomed him at the door of their small home. Tears streamed down her face, but these were tears of joy, of overwhelming pride. She wrapped him in her arms, and in that embrace, he felt a warmth and a safety that only a mother's love can give. You made it, she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. He smiled, a genuine, peaceful smile, and gently shook his head. No, Mom, he said, his own voice filled with gratitude. We made it. In that moment, and in the years that followed, he came to understand a powerful, fundamental truth about life. He realized that you don't need to be the strongest person in the room. You don't need to be born the smartest. You don't need to have every advantage. You just need one thing, the refusal to give up. Because life, he learned, does not reward perfection. It rewards persistence. It rewards the person who gets knocked down 9 times and gets up 10. It rewards the quiet, stubborn courage to keep walking, one foot in front of the other, especially when the path ahead is dark and uncertain. The boy who once walked barefoot on dusty, unforgiving roads learned to walk confidently into rooms filled with power and opportunity. He became more than just a success story. He became a symbol of hope, not because his journey was easy, but precisely because it was so incredibly hard. He showed the world that you never have to stop walking, even when the path feels endless, because somewhere up ahead, a new beginning is always waiting.